And what's up? We are live. It is the GC Takeover Hour on 107.5 The Game. I am Wes Mitchell. He is Chris Clark, counting down the days and the hours until the Gator Bowl. South Carolina taking on Notre Dame, of course, Friday, 3:30 in Jacksonville. Chris, I'm excited, man. We're both heading down for this game. I think it's going to be really a cool matchup. I said it yesterday. You could already feel the fan base when it kind of leaked out there. Okay, this is a possibility, before the bowl games were official. And I remember the idea of like South Carolina, what was it, like Illinois maybe was another possibility.
in
And
Tampa.
yeah, and fans are kind of like, don't know about that one. But once just the idea of South Carolina Notre Dame floated out, a lot of people said that's the game I want. Gator Bowl, obviously, something for most Gamecock fans. That's going to be a new opportunity, a new game, a new bowl site for South Carolina. As weird as it is to say, I think that the Outback Bowl has gotten, it's a little bit stale. It's not like South Carolina's gone 5 years in a row or anything, but to have something new, to have something fresh is exciting. And I can kind of sense some excitement from this fan base going in. You look at the ticket sale numbers, the fact that South Carolina basically sold out their allotment right off the bat. They got a bigger allotment sent. They sold that out as well. I was actually checking Ticketmaster yesterday, kind of to get an idea. Still some tickets available. It's not sold out yet, but watching some of these other bowl games on TV, you are kind of reminded at times, obviously, how thin this thing is stretched. At the same time, I think we're going to be reminded on Friday what bowl season can be all about, because I think this is a fun matchup and there'll be a fun atmosphere, I think.
Well, and South Carolina was in a very favorable position from a bowl standpoint. They weren't a team that who was it, Rice snuck in because of their academic progress rate as at 5-7. They were able to sneak in. I think they were the only one this year that did that. This wasn't a team where you're just like hoping you'll get a pretty good destination. South Carolina, because of the way they finished the season, beating Tennessee, beating Clemson, finishing the regular season 8-4 and having a lot of buzz, they had a lot of bowl buzz too. And so the Citrus Bowl was one that continued conversations with South Carolina, but ultimately felt like they had to take LSU, which is understandable. But then South Carolina really, from an administrative standpoint, from a football program standpoint, they're kind of in a position where they could like pick kind of. So it's kind of, well, do you go down to Tampa and play a Big Ten team again? Like you said, they don't do that every year or anything, but it's kind of a been there, done that feeling a little bit. Or do you go down and play in the Gator Bowl? And my understanding, Wes, is this program really wanted to play in the Gator Bowl as long as they could get Notre Dame, because it is an interesting matchup. It's an intriguing matchup. It's a new matchup. And so I think they did about as well as you possibly can from that standpoint. And if you just, I mean, shoot, just ask any Gamecock, if you're a Gamecock fan out there, ask other Gamecock fans that you know, and you're probably going to find somebody or a group of people that are heading down to Jacksonville. I know a bunch of them heading down today, later this afternoon, if not tomorrow. And that group will include us. We'll be down there too. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll be there. I'm with you, man. I know a ton of people that are going to be in Jacksonville, so I think it's going to be a party, which is always cool. It's always, that's what it's all about. Obviously, it's about the game on the field, but the more I've covered ball, the more I have learned that, especially college athletics, it's just as much about everything surrounding it. It's about going to the tailgate and talking with your friends. It's about texting about the game. It's about everything on the outside of the actual game that makes college football and college sports and South Carolina sports special. So looking forward to that, man. I think it's going to be a blast. And, we'll certainly see if South Carolina, as we talked about yesterday, with some guys missing, with some guys having to fill in, we'll certainly find out if they are going to be in a place to win this game. But I did a preview video with On Three, and they had a guy by the name of Tyler Horka on there who helps cover Notre Dame for On Three on Blue and Gold, and Notre Dame dealing with many of the same issues that South Carolina is, as far as having opt outs, of course, injuries, transfers. So I haven't, like, put it in an Excel sheet and done a one-to-one comparison of
Yeah.
who's missing what and who's missing the most, but you look at Notre Dame, there's certainly an argument that they've maybe lost just as much production, or just as much depth as South Carolina has going into this game, Chris.
Yeah, I mean, and there's been really opt outs and transfer portal, like they've been hit by that, and it's at some really key spots for them. I mean, you said it. South Carolina is going to be missing a bunch of key contributors, whether it's starters on offense or defense, special teams guys that are very important, or both. You think about the tight end room. You think about two starting corners and Darius Rush and Cam Smith. You think about Zach Pickens, Josh Van being out with the knee injury, Marshawn Lloyd, Jaheim Bell. There's a lot. So I don't think Notre Dame has as many, but certainly when you look at this team, they are missing some key pieces. Drew Pine, of course, is one who ended up being their starter at the quarterback position this year. He entered the transfer portal before the bowl game. And two big ones, Wes. Isaiah Foskey, their defensive lineman, he plays what's called their Viper position. Super productive player, going to be an NFL draft guy, 6'5", 265. He can wreck some shop on the defensive line. And, of course, Notre Dame's been quite good there in the back half of the regular season. So that's a big piece for them. And then, a huge one, I think, for many reasons: production, leadership, blocking, catching the football. Michael Mayer, who is, man, he's one of the better tight ends probably to come through college football in general in a while. He's expected to be a first-round pick. He is their highest graded player on their team, not just on offense or, just on their entire team this season. According to PFF, has a 92.5 grade, that's hard to get to. You can get there in a game or two, but
Mhm.
to get there for an entire season is pretty hard to do. So they've got some substantial guys missing too. But I will say, Wes, this is still a Notre Dame team that if you look at kind of their on paper star rankings and some of the guys that they've got, they still have a good bit of talent on this team. But the key pieces that they're missing, just like South Carolina, I think are going to be impactful.
Yeah, and you can certainly make the case that, Michael Mayer is the best tight end in the country. I think Brock Bowers obviously would have something to say about that as well, but, by most, indications and most, the rewards, the PFF stuff, those are your 2 best tight ends in the entire in all of college football, and Bowers, I just looked it up, he actually has a lower PFF grade, by a pretty good bit. His is 84.9, which is still actually, as far as PFF grades go, is phenomenal, but, 90 there's actually not anyone on Georgia's offense that is in the 90s, which gives you an idea of just how high that grade is. Now, granted, you gotta factor in Georgia is playing SEC teams every single week, which I think is certainly a factor, but, um, the fact of the matter is great player, almost, a surefire, probably NFL contributor, very few holes in Michael Mayer's game, and if you're South Carolina, one less guy you gotta deal with, which is obviously important, and, Notre Dame goes into this game with a quarterback that, um, doesn't have a lot of experience. Obviously, Drew Pine in the transfer portal, as you mentioned, their top pass rusher, Foskey is actually their all-time sacks leader, which I did not realize. So these are guys that are key contributors for Notre Dame throughout this season that they will be missing. And y- you know, it kind of got me thinking on the South Carolina end, Chris, as we sort of try to peel back the layers here a little bit on what these things could mean. Obviously, I think the losses of Marshawn Lloyd and Jaheim Bell have been more talked about by the fan base, and probably because those are more long-lasting impacts than
Mhm.
maybe an opt-out, such as like Cam Smith or Darius Rush, because that's a one-game thing. I think pretty much everybody that was paying attention knew those guys weren't going to be back next season. Bell and Lloyd, you know, you kind of assumed, these guys will be on next year's team. So it gets discussed more. But as far as this actual game, I find myself now going to the defensive secondary and what impact is that going to have on South Carolina's defense? what impact will that even have on South Carolina's defensive approach to this game? Because if you look at what they've done this year, South Carolina is a very man coverage heavy team,
Mhm.
but it felt like they doubled down on that the last couple of games. And they just said, we're gonna lock you down. We're gonna stack the box. We're gonna rush the passer with multiple extra guys and let these other guys play lockdown defense on the edge. So I want to talk a little bit more, not just about the personnel, the guys that are going to be in there this Friday afternoon, but also what impact that could have on South Carolina's game plan defensively. So we'll talk about that and more on the other side of this break.
The early game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen.
You know, you look at the way they recruit and you can kind of make your mark. Hello?
No, I was listening. I was listening to Red's take on the whole situation.
Exactly.
That was a very spirited. Either Red completely disagreed with you or was behind you cheering. That's my dad. That's a great point, Dad. You keep making that point.
He's gotten bad, man. He's like, he follows me outside, and then he wants a treat, and he barks until I give him a treat, and half the time he keeps barking. So I don't know.
It sounds like working with Bill first thing every morning.
It is kind of, Jen, I really bother Jen until I get a treat each and every morning. So
He begs a lot.
On your home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. Ed Reed is an awesome choice for head coach of Bethune-Cookman. Every time we've had him on the show, I feel like he's shared legit life wisdom. But if you're expecting Deion Sanders effect there, don't. Ed will walk more quietly, won't need the cameras and Mike's always going. He won't look to post everything on YouTube. He'll just be Ed Reed, coolest guy in the room. This is Damon Amendolara.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for healthcare. And here's why. Not only is it open enrollment for a lot of people, it's also a time you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. And it's true, the typical family switching to MediShare saves $500 or more a month, which is obviously huge for a lot of people. But what's more, they like it. MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to health insurance. There are 400,000 members. They've shared over $4 billion in medical bills, and it really is a great community too. People encourage and pray for each other. And here's the thing. If you join MediShare Complete right now, they'll waive your new member fees and you'll save an additional 10% off all of 2023. That's right. No fee to join, 10% off every month of next year, but it's a very limited time offer. You have to sign up before December 31st. Great savings, great healthcare. Find out more. Call now. 855-51-BIBLE. That's 855-51-BIBLE. 855-51-BIBLE.
Durability, dependability. Nothing matters more on the field or in the field. Mo Kaba, number 32, here to tell you about the outstanding line of Toro, Zero Turn, and Stand-On commercial mowers available at Cato's Power Equipment. Trust the team at Cato's to provide you with top-notch products and the service to keep you in the game all year long. Columbia's oldest and largest outdoor power equipment dealership. Come visit Cato's Power Equipment today.
Hey, who wants to make a resolution they can keep? Let's resolve to eat better pizza. Come on, you can do it with the Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers. Let's start slow with the crust. We'll hand toss that spring water dough just for you. Then add the freshest ingredients and serve it hot. Now, lift it. You're doing it. It's a change of pizza lifestyle. Happy New You from the Mellow Mushroom in the Vista and on Sunset in Lexington.
One search engine is used by 9 out of 10 consumers. Hint, the name begins with a G. And there are hundreds of things that go into being ranked highly by that engine. Your website, your business profile, even your social accounts. A couple of slip-ups and you find yourself on page 7. But at Cumulus Boost, we have the experts and resources to fix what's wrong and boost your findability so you can rank higher than your competition. Get started today at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
Jay Phillips here for my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got them, they work well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. John at Dan's Fan City wants to remind you to make your ceiling fan move in reverse this time of year to keep the heat off the ceiling. See John for any questions and for all of your ceiling fan needs. Go to Dan's Fan City in Harbison or call him at 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur with words from another happy payroll customer.
So it's very easy to use. From the login and the setup was extremely easy. I didn't have to call anyone for help. I was able to do it on my own. And I love the fact that I can run my payroll and print my pay stubs, and then you guys do all of the filing for me. So I get a quarterly report that everything's been filed on my behalf. And then at the end of the year, I can print out my W-2s. So I use you guys. I tell everybody it's the easiest thing I've ever done. Why anybody doesn't use y'all, I don't know.
Visit us at PatriotSoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
With PatriotSoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Chris Clark here with Wes Mitchell. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. It's warmed up, Wes. 45 degrees now outside, 11:20 here on 107.5 The Game. You can hit us on the Firehouse Subs text line if you have any Gamecock football or recruiting takes, or if you want to tell us about your favorite Firehouse Subs. And speaking of that, Wes,
that's really what I'd like to hear about, to be honest.
Let's hear about it. Because I have not a new one to us, maybe a new one to somebody who has not ever had Firehouse Subs, which shame on you if you have not. You should check it out. Wednesday,
today is Wednesday.
It is Wednesday. I double-checked my watch like 5 times to make sure it was Wednesday because it kind of doesn't feel like it. It is the New York Steamer, and it is the sub of the day at all 14 of the Midlands Firehouse Subs locations. $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium. Monday through Sunday, every day of the week, a different Firehouse Sub that you can get for that deal. Today is the New York Steamer. One of my personal favorites, Wes. If you don't want that, try anything else on the menu. I would also recommend, it is not a sub of the day, but it's worth checking out, the Prime Rib Steak Sub. You can order that in a variety of ways. First way is if you want to hit us on the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100. Give us your Gamecock football takes. You'll get a link to order directly from the Firehouse Subs text line. Or you can go to firehousesubs.com, check out the Rapid Rescue option. Just order online and then go pick it up from the order station inside one of the 14 Midlands locations. Or you can download the Firehouse Subs app. They have an outstanding rewards program. You can order straight from there too. So again, that's the sub of the day from our friend Larry Chandler, owner of the 14 Midlands Firehouse Subs locations. Wes, we were talking before we went to break about South Carolina's defensive back situation. We kind of got into that a little bit yesterday just in terms of the new guys. Keenan Nelson Jr., Emory Floyd, Kawan Banks, some guys that have had kind of a cup of coffee this season to varying degrees but that we're probably going to see a little more of. And I think you made a great point that we maybe haven't talked enough about Cam Smith, Darius Rush, those guys being out. And I know on our podcast yesterday on GC Live, we were talking about how Darius Rush is not only a starting corner who is very effective, but also a tremendous special teams player for South Carolina.
Yeah, arguably, one of their top 5 most impactful guys, I think, on special teams, just in terms of getting down there. Not just the athleticism that he brings to basically that coverage team, especially on, I feel like punt coverage is where Darius really just made a bunch of plays this year. Used his speed. He's got that long striding, long speed sort of, and you can tell he cares about it too. Like he puts the effort into it. A lot of special teams is effort, and Darius, I think that's gonna, not to get into the future in the NFL and all that, I think that's gonna be huge for him as he tries to make his way in the NFL. And and stay on a team and sort of have a long NFL career. But absolutely, man. And I think it is especially big when you consider what South Carolina likes to do on defense. And, this is not a zone team. This is not a sit back. This is not a, we're just going to kind of let you complete passes underneath us. And if we'll let you make a mistake. This is a team that prides itself, I think, on playing a lot of man coverage, prides itself on, going out there and being aggressive defensively. And they doubled down on that against Clemson and Tennessee. And I'll be curious to see, do they just say, look, this is who we are. We plug in the next guys and hey, step up, or is it more of an approach of, all right, we are, we know this, we don't have NFL guys in there right now at corner. And you certainly hope that sentence ends up being wrong in a couple of years, that you say, this is an opportunity to me. We talked about the word opportunity a ton, but if you're Marcellus Dial, who has had a great finish to this season, shoot, if you're O.D. Fortune, if you're Emory Floyd, if you're Keenan Nelson Jr., this is your chance to go out there and play. I think if I'm Clayton White, I maybe tell the guys, look, this is who we are. We're a man team. We're a pressure team. We're an aggressive team. That's how we're going to approach this game. However, I'm also maybe working on a little bit more zone in the lead in. I'm working on some stuff that doesn't quite put my guys on an island quite as much as we have this year for the most part if I'm him. However, you got to stop the run if you're going to beat Notre Dame. So that probably requires an extra guy in the box anyway.
Well, and Tommy Rees, who is Notre Dame's OC, pointed out earlier this week when he was talking about South Carolina's defense, one of the things that he mentioned was how good their DBs are against the run. Well, two of those guys that they've seen a lot of film on are not in the equation. And he was right in his assessment of that, Wes. I think Darius Rush and Cam Smith both kind of in that Torian Gray mold of what he likes, inherited those guys, right? But they're both tall, long, physical guys. You think about some of Darius Rush's open field tackling ability that you pointed out on punt coverage, Cam Smith and how physical he can be. So you're exactly right. I mean, you look at the Clemson game, one of the main reasons that Notre Dame was able to win there, they had some they made a game-changing play on special teams with a punt block. They made another game-changing play with a pick six, and they also had another interception that's in that game. But when you look at the run game, that was another key difference in them winning that game and Clemson losing. They were able to establish the run. Clemson couldn't really stop them. It's not like they completely gashed them, but they just moved the chains consistently, and they were able to very much limit Clemson's running game, which when you look at their back half of the season, they've been able to do that a lot. So I think there's multiple angles here. Number one, just not having Smith and Rush in general from a run game standpoint, from a pass coverage standpoint, and then it goes to exactly what you said there, just philosophically, how much do you do different? We got a very much a sense at the end of the year that South Carolina's game plan against Tennessee was going to be, hey, we know you're going to come throw the ball. Come throw it. We're going to cover your guys man-to-man, and it's up to them to go and execute it. And Tennessee, they weren't perfect, which if you've got really good man corners, the quarterback and the receivers have to be on the same page. They have to make some big-time throws, some big-time catches. And if they beat you that way, you just kind of tip your cap. But they weren't perfect. And then the next week against Clemson, it seems like to me they kind of pressured Clemson, or maybe even tricked them kind of in a certain way into feeling like we're going to come out here and throw the ball. They're giving us the pass. And they kind of did, but they weren't perfect either. And so with Tyler Buckner, who hasn't started a game in a while, he was Notre Dame's starter at the beginning of the season, but hasn't played in a while since the Marshall game, right? That seems to still be the approach. But without those two guys, you might have to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, and I personally wonder, we have not seen South Carolina run much 4-3, so 4 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers. We have not seen them do that at all, really this year, except for maybe a handful of times. With extra time to prepare, do you sort of look at actually doing that this week? Does that give you an opportunity against a Notre Dame team? Again, new quarterback. This was actually their starter at the beginning of the year, but he's missed pretty much the entire year. And you have a situation, man, where if I'm Notre Dame and I'm looking at South Carolina defensively and I'm looking at my QB, I'm trying to run the football. I'm trying to shove it down their throats, even with South Carolina's losses in the secondary. So if it's me, I'm probably playing Tonka Hemingway at edge instead of inside, even though Brian Thomas Jr. is listed as a starter. I'm putting Tonka outside. I'm putting a third linebacker on the field. Maybe this is an opportunity for another linebacker, a Bam Martin Scott, who I think we've all been kind of high on this year. Hasn't played a huge role, but maybe it's an opportunity to switch some things up. All right, we've got a caller waiting on the line there. Let's go out and see who this is. Caller.
Hey, gents, how are you guys?
We're good, man. How are you?
Enjoy the takeover hour. It's becoming good to listen to you guys. So, a couple things. My eyes don't lie. I mean, I see Marcellus Dial playing on Sundays. I think the kid was, he was on Hyatt for a little bit. He was on Tillman. Both of those guys were taken behind the woodshed in that game, and by 24, to me, I got complete faith in Dial. It's the other side I'm a little concerned about, and they're going to have to figure out how to sort of mask that weakness over there. If Notre Dame decides to sort of push it, I agree with you. I think they're going to, with Buckner back, he hasn't played since the Stanford game, I think. Game number 2, he had a shoulder injury. They're probably going to want to run the ball, but so that's going to be interesting. I think this Nick Coleman, and who's an analyst, is going to be, I guess, heavily involved in the plays and heavily involved in the scheme. Is going to be interesting to see what a Marcus Satterfield-less offense looks like with him not participating. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited about the game. Win, lose, or draw. I don't see us, I don't see us winning because of all the attrition and defections, but it is a sort of a preview or purview into next spring. So I'm excited to watch the ball game. Just want to get your take really on the Nick Coleman, the analyst, the offensive game plan room, because I think that's going to be where I'm going to be most fascinated with on Friday.
Yeah.
All right, I'll hang up, guys. Take care.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call, and good stuff there. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate the support. And I'll say this, we haven't talked about that much, and it's a great point. And obviously Shane Beamer has been mum, I guess is the word, on who's going to actually call the plays and all those things. But if you look at practice, it's been quite obvious that both Nick Coleman and Freddie Kitchens have been very involved with the quarterbacks at practice as far as watching those guys. And so I think it's an interesting conversation. Nick Coleman, a guy that maybe that's a name most fans don't know unless you like really are dialed in. So I want to talk about him a bit on the other side. So we'll be right back. It's the GC Takeover Hour, 107.5 The Game.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right, we'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile. Smile.
803-630-5929 for more details. Camden Military Academy. It's probably not what you think. At Camden Military Academy, cadets achieve their untapped potential in academics and life. Hear now one cadet's message to his mother.
I'm very glad that you sent me here. I've learned a lot from this place. I know you work very hard to send me here. I think of you every day. Honestly, I'm just very glad that you sent me here. Thank you.
To learn more, visit CamdenMilitary.com. Treat your family to a Bullfrog hot tub from Griffin Pools and Spas. The perfect place to relax, unwind, leave the day behind. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy System. Each seat is customized to fit every body in your family, including the just-arrived Bullfrog Swim Spa. There's never been a better time to spa and save. Come into Griffin Pools today and reserve your new Bullfrog Spa. Bullfrog Spas. Peaceful body, peaceful mind, peaceful home. Discover more at GriffinPoolsandSpas.com.
Griffin Pools and Spas, we make you feel good.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000 square foot facility is complete with a massive 2-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Farrow and Killian Road, where price sells cars.
You do not want to miss this. Before 2022 is over, you can get 22% off your carpet, air duct, upholstery, and tile cleaning from Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Start 2023 off right by already having your home insanely clean with Zerorez. To save, you must complete your cleaning by New Year's Eve. So schedule now before all the spots are gone. Use promo code N22 at ZerorezColumbia.com to save 22% off your booking. That's promo code N22 at ZerorezColumbia.com.
How about those Gamecocks? Scott here with Gamecock Traditions, letting you know the Rivalry Score shirts are in store and online now. Long sleeve, short sleeve, and youth tees are all available. Shop in store at 5134 Sunset Boulevard in Sand Hills Village or online at GamecockTraditions.com. That's GamecockTraditions.com. Merry Christmas from Gamecock Traditions, your one-stop Gamecock shop.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin. Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now. I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code WIN for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WIN for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code WIN.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
On the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
But again, it's a group effort. You know, everything that we put in, we've been working on as an offense all month, and the offensive staff is putting the game plan together, and the play calling part of it to me gets, is a little overrated in the sense that you've decided on a lot of what you're doing during the week and during the prep. And obviously you got to have a feel for
10 seconds
game day and things like that. But we got good coaches on that.
5 seconds.
And good players. And it's up to us to put together a good plan for them.
That, of course, Shane Beamer talking earlier this week about South Carolina's offensive game plan going into this big Gator Bowl matchup with Notre Dame. And, Chris, we're talking on the other side of the break about this very thing. And Beamer not giving it away, not wanting to put it out there who the actual official play caller will be for South Carolina. But good call on the other side, man, and kind of talking about some different things there as far as what changes we might see from South Carolina. I would think for the most part, like, you're not going to just rewrite the playbook in a couple of weeks. Now, does a bowl game give you a chance to do some fun things and to install some things for the guys? I think you have to do that. And I think we saw that last year. Like, South Carolina went into the game plan or went into that game with a game plan with some exciting stuff. I think the guys like when you're not just running the same 5 plays over and over and over again. And so they came out, they executed. There was some energy on the sideline. They hit some big plays early, and they really carried it over for almost all of that game. So I think not that we'll see a similar game plan necessarily, like specifically as far as the plays go, Chris, but I think we will see a similar approach in that I think Carolina will approach this like it's kind of a fun game, and you can do some different things offensively, maybe a trick play here or there.
Yeah, I think you got to mix and match and create a balance, I guess is maybe the best word, between what worked at the end of the season and, having that extra time to be able to add some wrinkles. This staff, it's a point you made a lot lately, Wes. This staff has proven itself pretty good with some extra time. I think the official mark would be 5-0. If you want to count, I don't know if you count these season openers, because you've prepared obviously for that first opponent, but in the off season, you've also done training camp where you're working basically on yourself, installing your offense, your defense, your special teams. You've prepared a lot of general concepts. The scouting reports on every team that you're going to play that season have already been done, and then you kind of adjust those, right? I mean, you do scouting reports back in the summer, but you do have like a longer runway and window to work on your entire team leading up to game one than you do the whole season. So, and then the competition level, I mean, obviously they played Eastern Illinois and then Georgia State. It's not Georgia and Illinois, I mean, it's very different. They won those. You look at Florida in 2021, you look at Texas A&M this year, and then obviously you look at the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They're 5-0 in those games. But I think when you look at the end of this season, how did South Carolina flip the switch to reach its offensive potential? I mean, exploded against Tennessee, had another strong showing, especially if you take out the turnovers that were so, made things so difficult for South Carolina. Another really good showing against a good Clemson defense. Well, it was just simplification and high-level execution, just letting players make plays, not carrying as much into the game, and kind of sticking with what works. So you wouldn't expect South Carolina to go away from that. I don't think Shane Beamer's going to look around and say, what's our best game plan? Well, let's throw the kitchen sink at them. I don't know if that makes sense, but you do want to have a balance between, like you said, trying to make things fun and trying to add some wrinkles and taking these practices. Obviously, you have way more practice time than you do for a typical game week. Install some new things that Notre Dame maybe isn't prepared for. I think that would be the goal heading into this game.
Yeah, so obviously, you look at Nick Coleman, who, again, we don't know for sure if Nick's going to be the play caller or not, but I think as far as guys that have understanding of this offense and what is already installed and what South Carolina has done, very highly thought of by everything I've heard in the building. Very sharp guy, has been involved in sort of that off-the-field analyst role with South Carolina's offense for both years under Marcus Satterfield, and I think has probably the best understanding in the building of what South Carolina likes to do on offense, of the approach from a quarterback position. And, I think, again, probably not a name everybody necessarily knows, but someone that maybe stands an opportunity here as well to sort of be a little more involved in the lead in, not so much being in Marcus Satterfield's shadow. Obviously, Marcus was the guy. He was the OC. He was the play caller. But Coleman, I think someone that probably has a bright future in the business by everybody I've talked to, and is also reportedly after this headed off to UAB. Is that right? Reportedly, I should say. But again, the word keeps coming up. Opportunity, not just an opportunity for the players, but also for some different coaches that are involved and maybe more involved than they have been. And I'll be curious to see what the game plan looks like. You can do some different things within the same structure of your offense, which is, I think, what we'll probably see from South Carolina. And we'll probably see less two tight ends.
Yeah,
you would imagine, just looking at the depth chart too.
Well, that's certainly going to be one. I mean, gone from a tight end depth chart where it's 2 spots and 4 guys to a tight end depth chart that's literally 1 spot and 1 guy. I mean, it's Nate Atkins and that's it. And, I know you joked yesterday, Shane Beamer said, well, Nate Atkins can't play every snap, but, he might come close. What we saw during the year, Nate Atkins played a good chunk of the tight end snaps. Austin Stogner, I think, played the most tight end snaps of anybody in that room throughout the year. And there were several games where you'd look at the snap count and go, man, Stog played a bunch of snaps. So they will be missing that. That's an important part of what they do offensively. Now, do you have the Wyatt Campbell, insertion at tight end in some run packages? That's obviously going to look a little bit different than, say, if you're rolling out Jaheim Bell and Atkins or Stog and Atkins. I mean, different looks. So that's certainly one adjustment. But I do think, when we watch this game on Friday, there are probably going to be, I very much expect personnel packages and plays where you can go, yeah, that looks familiar. But I also expect, I think it's very fair to expect some things where you go, okay, there's a wrinkle. There's something new. And that may be in the form of a new personnel package, new personnel usage, or even the play itself. Maybe all three of those things at once.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see what that actually looks like for South Carolina. Ultimately, again, this offense is going to be run through Spencer Rattler. I think this is going to be another chance for him to go out there, sling the ball around, make some things happen. And again, Notre Dame does not have their best pass rusher either. So if you're South Carolina, yeah, you're missing some guys. But when Notre Dame doesn't have, I would say, arguably their best weapon on offense or their best pass rusher on defense, even with the losses South Carolina has, those things at least even out and maybe even skew a little bit more towards Notre Dame being on the bad side or the worst side of that, in my opinion. The more we talk about this thing, the more I actually think there could be some points in this game. Like I think over under is low 50s. I think maybe somebody can correct me. I'm not a gambler. I can look it up here in a second, but low 50s. The more we talk about this game, the more I feel like Notre Dame's, yes, new quarterback, no top tight end, they're going to be able to run the football because we have seen South Carolina struggle to stop the run. And I think Rattler and Juice, as long as Rattler and Juice are still there for South Carolina, which they are, then I like the chances for this offense to put up some points for South Carolina. So we'll continue that conversation on the other side.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
People who serve in the military are hardworking and reliable. Back again with Travis Bedson, the owner of CNT Foundations.
That's so true, Gary. And we're proud that nearly a third of our team is former military.
So when you have a foundation problem, you can trust that CNT Foundations will be there when they say, and CNT Foundations will do what they say too. Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
Whatever your current t-shirt budget is, double it and trust Palmetto Shirt Company to deliver your shirts. T-shirts build identity. Identity builds better teams, and better teams build better businesses. You can put Palmetto Shirt Company's 20-plus years of printing experience to work for you and your team. We help you build a team identity with our designs, our shirt selections, and keep it within your budget. We'll make it easy for you. Just find us online at palmettoshirtco.com and build your team's identity today. Palmetto Shirt Company, South Carolina's brand.
Treat your family to a Bullfrog hot tub from Griffin Pools and Spas. The perfect place to relax, unwind, leave the day behind. Only Bullfrog offers the jetpack therapy system. Each seat is customized to fit every body in your family, including the just-arrived Bullfrog Swim Spa. There's never been a better time to spa and save. Come into Griffin Pools today and reserve your new Bullfrog Spa. Bullfrog Spas. Peaceful body, peaceful mind, peaceful home. Discover more at griffinpoolsandspas.com.
Griffin Pools and Spas. We make you feel good.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000-square-foot facility is complete with a massive two-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Faro and Killian Road, where price sells cars.
One search engine is used by 9 out of 10 consumers. Hint, the name begins with a G. And there are hundreds of things that go into being ranked highly by that engine. Your website, your business profile, even your social accounts. A couple of slip-ups and you find yourself on page 7. But at Cumulus Boost, we have the experts and resources to fix what's wrong and boost your findability so you can rank higher than your competition. Get started today at cumulusboost.com. CUMULUS boost.com.
You're invited to the grand opening of Palmetto Cards and Collectibles. South Carolina's largest hobby shop is now open at 404 West Main Street in Lexington. Family owned by card collectors. Topps, Panini, Upper Deck, baseball, basketball, football, Pokemon, and more. They can handle all your trading card and supply needs. They're always buying collections and would love to buy yours. Palmetto Cards is also a grading submission center for PSA and SGC. Visit PalmettoCards.com or stop by Palmetto Cards and Collectibles, West Main Street in Lexington.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
on the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment here, GC Takeover Hour, 1075 The Game. We'll have one more GC Takeover Hour tomorrow, 11 to noon, before Chris and I head on down to Jacksonville. We'll be live on the scene down there. And I believe from what we heard yesterday, 1075 at some point tomorrow going to be live on the scene from Jacksonville as well. So be on the lookout for that. And tell you what, let's take a couple more calls. First, let's go out on our Love Chevrolet phone line to Casey from Gilbert. Casey, you are up. What's up?
Man, fellas, I'm excited about this game. I truly am. I think that the Irish aren't going to come into it really wanting to play, not like the mindset we're coming in. We're going to win by 30 or more points, and we're going to put a beat down on the Irish. But the caveat to that is do you think that if we do that, obviously Spencer had a great game, do you think he'll use that to declare for the draft, or hopefully he'll stay another year? But I don't think that's his mindset. I really don't, or else he would have probably been honest with it by now. I want to see what y'all think about that. But Cox by 30 at least.
KC, bold prediction. Thanks for the call again. Appreciate you listening to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour and weighing in. Yeah, man, that is a big margin, Wes. To answer your question, or to weigh in on your question, Casey, I do think that Spencer is baking in the bowl game to the decision to a degree. We are the NFL draft early entry deadline is, I think, January 16th, maybe January 17th. So give or take a day this year or next year, 2023. So there's some time. I think Spencer's draft stock could go up with a full season next year, and I think he knows that. It kind of just comes down to does a great bowl game performance push him up even more to a level where he'd be comfortable leaving? I think that's one part of it, but I don't think that if he has a great bowl game, that automatically means, Wes, that he's leaving South Carolina.
Yeah, I don't get the sense that he's made a decision. I think you look, sometimes guys say, oh, I haven't made a decision, but it's really they haven't announced a decision. I don't think this is one of those situations. In my opinion, I think that he's not made a decision, and he's going to gather all the information. I think the real question is, does a great bowl game change the projection for him going into the draft? I don't think it's necessarily even how he feels about his bowl game performance. It's going to be about what do the NFL draft guys feel about that, and I think he'll factor that in. But similarly with Juice Wells, at least as of last week, Juice Wells has not made a decision yet, and that's not one of these situations, again, where a guy just hasn't announced it. He truly has not made a decision. He's going to gather all the information and then make his decision from there. All right, we're going to go out in a second to Ty on the Love Chevy phone lines, but first, going to tell you real quick about my good friend Kendall Walsh. She is my realtor. She could be yours as well. Kendall is here locally with the Moore Company. You can give Kendall a call or a text, 803-414-3590. Work with Walsh on gmail.com, or at gmail.com, I should say. She's at Work with Walsh on Twitter or Instagram. Kendall used to work with the Gamecock Club. You may remember her there. She was the first assistant club director in Gamecock Club history. Huge Gamecock fan. She may be listening right now. Every time we were trying to buy our house, Kendall was tuned into 107.5. So huge Gamecock fan. She helped us. She made this process, which can be daunting, very simple for us, step by step. If you're trying to buy a house, you're trying to sell a house, Kendall is your person. Again, 803-414-3590. We are running out of time. So, Ty, you're going to have the honor of having almost maybe the final word on this thing. So let's go out. Love Chevy phone line. Ty, what's up?
Hey, guys. I got two quick questions. The first one, do DK have any more eligibility for next year? And two, if he does, why not stick him at running back for the bowl game and the next year just to show what he got? Those are the two questions I had.
All right, yeah, appreciate you, Ty. Yes, DK does have eligibility left. The current expectation is, I believe, that he'll probably be back. And I think switching him to running back, I don't know, like that would be I would say a tough transition in a couple of weeks. Obviously they got him ready to play quarterback last year, but has the background at quarterback, has at least knew the offense or some of the plays at quarterback already. So I don't know, Chris, what do you think as far as the idea or possibility of DK playing yet another position for South Carolina?
I don't think it's a true running back. I mean, I could be wrong. We can go out there on Friday and say, here's Rattler standing beside Decarrion Joyner in a shotgun formation. But I think that would be more of a kind of a gadget or package if we saw that. I don't see Decarrion Joyner lining up on a 3rd and 1 at a true running back position. Now, playing him like we saw last year against North Carolina as a wildcat where you're giving him some options, that wouldn't be surprising at all. I don't know if we should say to expect that, but it certainly wouldn't be a surprise. There's precedent for that. I just tend to think that as an actual true running back that we'll see the guys you would expect, Juju McDowell, CBS, maybe a Rashad Amos. I just don't know that Decarrion Joyner as a true running back is something that we should expect.
Well, and I think he's going to be very much needed at wide receiver at this game as well. I mean, you look at the guys that they are going to be missing at receiver, and this could be an opportunity for him. Could be an opportunity at receiver for some guys we haven't seen a ton of. You look at, we talked about it yesterday, maybe a Landon Sampson, maybe an Omega Blake, all those guys who, haven't really been in the rotation this year, but could, I think, easily see some playing time on Friday, which, the caller before that, KC, was saying he's excited about this game. I do think it is a preview of next season for you. It is a preview for next year. And, for a lot of these guys, a chance to go out there and show what they're capable of. That, frankly, guys that have worked hard all offseason, all year long, and haven't really had the chance to go play. If you're a hardcore fan and you want to see what the future of South Carolina athletics looks like, you want to see what this team's going to look like next year, you want to see who's going to be replacing some of South Carolina's main guys from this past season, then this is your opportunity to get out there and watch this team and watch these guys go play. So, all right, y'all, that's going to about do it for us. We're out of time here, but we'll be back tomorrow as well for one final hour. For Chris, I'm Wes. We'll see you then.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's sports talk station.
WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
With Patriot